Good evening to those online. This is Eva Kelly, the planning manager. I'm just announcing that we are currently waiting on a quorum, but we are expecting a quorum tonight. So we'll just be waiting for a few minutes to give the commissioners a chance to show up, and then we'll begin.
Ready. Good evening, everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Hollister Planning Commission on February 27th, 2025. This meeting is now called to order and it is 6:05. Staff, can we have roll call?
Commissioner Carla Torres de Luna.
Here.
Commissioner Damian Perez.
Here.
Commissioner Hani Mizumi.
Here.
Commissioner Steve Belong is out this evening.
And either one of you want to lead us in the pledge of allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America. The republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
Thank you. Do we have any speakers for public comment, public input?
We do not have any speakers for public input.
And let's see, we have an action to consider and adopt all items on the consent agenda. Oh, this could be taken in one motion. So do we have any questions or brief comments from the commission on the consent agenda items, or would anyone like to pull an item for additional discussion?
No.
Okay. Staff, do we have any public comments on the consent agenda?
We do not have any public comments.
And is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Abstain, motion carries. And may we have the staff report for 6.1.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Apparently the 5.1, but this is item 6.1. This is appeal 2024-3 filed by Alexander Siwak regarding fencing in the Farmstead subdivision. This item, as you'll recall, was continued from the February 6th, 2025 Special Planning Commission meeting agenda. As the Planning Commission requested additional information on the timelines of the project, which have been provided in your staff report. In brief summary of the appeal, the applicant has submitted an incomplete application for building permits on lots 1 and 2 of the Farmstead subdivision. This was submitted in July of last year. One of the city's comments that was provided back to the applicant was to include the location of the proposed fencing on the plans, and the city gave a note that the municipal code requires engineering approval of a fence that's taller than 3 feet, which is proposed to be located within the 10-foot street side setback. That is under section 1716.050 of the municipal code. Following series of communications between the engineering division and our assistant city manager, acting community development director. Staff and the applicant staff determined that a 6 foot tall fence could be located within this 10-foot street side setback, which is also a 10-foot public utilities easement on these two lots. But it could not be placed closer than 5.5 feet from the property line. This was consistent with the engineering division's authority to review proposed fences for conflicts of easements and health and safety under that same code section. So this is a proposed 4.5 foot encroachment into the BUE, proposed to be allowed by the engineering division. Following this determination, which was determined, the development service director, ACM Rob Howell, concurred with the engineering staff's determination in this matter. And then following that determination by the director, the applicant has appealed staff's determination and requests that a 6 foot tall fence be permitted to be placed closer to the property line than 10 feet and closer than the engineering division's proposed allowance of being 5.5 feet from the property line. The applicant / appellant is requesting the planning commission to determine that a 6 foot tall fence can be placed on the property line of the rear property line of these properties, which would be within the 10-foot street side yard setback and within the view. This is a slide from last time that was also in your staff report in February 6th, which is just a exhibit of engineering's acceptable exception. So engineering is proposing to allow the fence to be placed 10 feet from the back of the sidewalk. Within the right of way, there is a 4.5 foot landscaping strip. So rather than the fence be placed 10 feet from the back of the property line, which is shown in red, the fence could be placed 5.5 feet from the property line within that 10 foot view and within that 10 foot setback that the code describes. In very brief summary, I've pulled out just a couple of key dates that are outlined in the staff report. They're happy to discuss further and commission if they have any questions on any of the other dates. In January 2011, that section that's referenced, the table in 1716-050 was adopted by the city council under ordinance 1071. The Farmstead subdivision was approved. The entitlements were approved by the planning commission in January 2016. In November 2019, engineering standards were revised. Additionally, in November 2019, the final map for this project was approved. In June 2020, the final map was recorded. And then in December 2020, the improvement plans were approved for this project. And then as it relates to the building permits and appeals, the building permit applications again for lots 1 and 2 were submitted in July, on the 8th of July of last year. Comments were returned by the city, including comments from building, planning, and engineering to the applicant on July 26th. One of the comments was related to this fence issue that was brought before the appeal tonight. On September 6th, following the communications, which are included in your staff report, the determination that I described was made by the director, and on the 17th of September, this appeal was filed. Again, the engineering division and ACM Powell have had multiple meetings, site visits, and written exchanges with the applicant in between the July 8th submittal, but mostly between after the city comments and between the appeal file. And that was the determination for an acceptable exception. And again, staff's recommendation tonight was to deny the appeal, affirming staff's determination and interpretation of the municipal code, and further directing the applicant to revise their building permit applications for lots 1 and 2, which includes to include a response to all of the city comments, as well as identifying the location of the rear fences to be placed in a closer than 5.5 feet from the wedding property. There are 3 options, just outlined here, outlined in your staff report. You could adopt a resolution denying the appeal based on the findings contained in the draft resolution. You could adopt a resolution approving the appeal, which would reverse staff's determination based on findings that the planning commission would need to establish tonight, or you could continue to add in if you need other additional information. Again, our recommendation is action.
Thank you. Do we have any questions from the commission?
No.
We'll now open the public hearing at 6:13 p.m. Staff, do we have a presentation from the appellant on this item?
I can. It's difficult in the 3 or 5 minutes that I have to go through the 6 pages in my presentation. And it's so maybe I'm hoping the commissioners will take their time and read what I wrote and reference the exhibits that I've supplied. 42 days ago, I asked the engineering department for the ordinances, the resolutions that went back a number of years that have been referenced here, the one in 2013 and the one in 2019. Those were finally given to me at noon on Monday, 3 days ago. I've been able to incorporate all those into my presentation. So it's in summary, there's 3 things. One, the city staff makes a unsubstantiated, without any evidence, statement that there's a health and safety issue. If you go to exhibit 53, which is in the package this evening, you'll see that at the bottom of the page that lot 38 has already been built. And the fence lines have been transferred onto a scale on the page. And although the city doesn't have a development standard for what's called site triangles at intersections, that's what I projected here. And last, in February 6th, I presented City of San Mateo's standards about how to do that. At the Brennan South Street, there's a stop sign. At the South Street West Side Boulevard, there's a stop sign. There's no stop sign at Patrick Drive and Brennan Way. The curb face distance from the triangle, from the apex of the triangle at the Patrick Drive, Brennan Way intersection measures about 36 feet. At the stop sign on Brennan and South, it measures about 33 feet. From the property lines, when we put the approved fence on the east side of lot 1, that will provide a 40-foot setback from the projected corner of the face of curbs there. So even though the city doesn't have development standards, they did let build the street section, the angle at Patrick and Brennan Way. And they did allow the Brennan and South Street to be built. So we are building a bigger setback. And when you look at the pictures that you go down, and I think it's picture 7 and picture 9, what is set as the sight line down South Street is determined by the existing northern terminus of the fence at the end of between lot 2 and lot 38. The second thing is the interaction with the resolution, the Kinley Vaughan coming along in November of 2019, and with the previous city engineer who since was let go, they decided that they would put in there that you cannot put a sound wall or a residential fence on PUE easements. That was not the case up till that point. There's no evidence in the months leading up to that as to why that should be. They just did it. That type of change needs to be passed by the city council. It was not. getting close to time. In all of our map applications, the PUE and the PUE that we granted to the city in 2018, all of those I identified step after step were signed off by the city, by planning and engineering in 2019, before the city council adopted that change in the proposal, the updates to the design standards that were made, that the city engineer signed in November. That council meeting was in December 2nd, roughly 3 to 4 weeks after conditions of our map and everything else, and the tentative map had been approved 4 years before. I'm happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Thank you. Do we have any, do you want to do questions or do we want to do public comment? What's the appropriate?
So we are in the public hearing, but with the new bylaws, this allows you to speak to the applicant, or in this case, the appellant, if you have questions before you would take other public comment.
Thank you. Do you all have any questions for the applicant
No,
or appellant?
I don't have a question.
Okay, and then do we have any public comment?
No, nobody present, however, the applicant did, provide digital written comment with attachments that were sent to each planning commissioner. They were also uploaded to the online agenda. In addition, the applicant provided printed comments that have been provided to each commissioner this evening.
Okay. Thank you. It doesn't say on my paperwork for us to make a motion, but I'm assuming that's what we're.
So first we would want to close the public hearing,
Close the hearing,
and then
okay.
we would take it back for your deliberation and a motion.
So let's go ahead and close the hearing now at 6:20. And then let's go ahead and have any discussion if you have further discussion. You guys requested more time. Does that satisfy?
I asked if with the timeline, and I got the timeline, so.
Yeah, okay. So now we can go ahead and then, is there a motion and what would the motion be for which option? The 1, 2, or 3.
I guess I'll look for number 1, since I was the one who asked for the timeline, I'll for number 1, there's the access.
Okay, motion to adopt the resolution denying the appeal 2024-3 based on the findings as contained in the draft resolution. Is there a second?
Second.
And all in favor?
Yeah.
Aye. Anyone
Aye.
opposed? Abstain? The motion carries 3-0. And going to 8.1, planning commission reports. Are there any reports from the commission? Okay, and staff, do we have any reports?
Don't believe I have any reports.
Okay, then the meeting is adjourned at 6:21.